Hey y'all, it's Bear, and today I'm here with my very first TBR video of 2022. First, I want to say thank you for being so understanding of me taking the last 2 weeks off of posting videos. Holiday season can be kind of stressful, and I just wanted to relax and spend all of my downtime enjoying the season, enjoying time with Will, not being stressed about anything. Like, I just needed a little teeny bit of a break. Now, on to the first round of Bears Board Game TBR for 2022. There has to be a better way to abbreviate that. I'm going to cover the 5 prompts from December. I'm going to talk about the books I read, give you a little mini review, my thoughts on them, how they worked, etc. I would say that my reading month started off very good in December. I thought we were gonna knock it out of the park, and then it went downhill so fast. The Doctor Who card, read a science fiction novel involving space, aliens, or time travel. I read Interstellar Pig by William Sleater. This is my 3rd William Sleater book of the year, and I think it might be my favorite. Basically, we follow a young boy whose family is taking a vacation on this little beachy, islandy cottage area, and in the house next to them are these 3 teenagers who are very obsessed with this game called Interstellar Pig. Throughout the book, we learned that Interstellar Pig is actually a time traveling, space traveling, almost apocalyptic style Jumanji-esque game where they are all aliens from different planets hunting this pig, and the person who has the pig at the end of the game will not get their home planet destroyed. So our protagonist kind of gets roped into that, and it was such a good time. I felt like the writing in the 3rd act was a little bit more fast-paced than I would have wanted for the page count, right? I feel like it was too fast for the amount of pages that we had to squeeze it into, and had it been 30 pages longer, would have been a perfect book. I've mentioned before, I really like the way that William Sleater explores queerness in his stories, as well as the different science fiction tropes and really campy, kind of over-the-top things that are in here, and I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. For my Gym Leader card, read a book that contains a Pokemon type in its synopsis. I read Daughters of Jubilation. This is a YA historical fantasy novel that follows a girl named Eveline in the Jim Crow South, whose family can do magic. They have this ability that they call the Jubilation, and it's they can make things happen. It's kind of telepathy, kind of probability manipulation. It's very interesting how the magic system works, but the magic usually only manifests itself in them whenever there's strong emotions rising up. So Evie is dealing with this new boyfriend that she's got going on in her family drama, and there's also this mysterious man from her past who has returned, and she doesn't remember him, but her mother just keeps saying, he took something from you, he did something bad to you. And it's Evie navigating all of that, her magic, of learning how to come into her powers, dealing with haints that are kind of following her around, and it was very good, and I really enjoyed the romance in this book. I felt like the emotions were really there. I feel like I really got to know Evie as a character, and I enjoyed it. I thought everything was very fleshed out. Everything was explained very well. Really liked Evie as a character. I feel like her character in particular was the shining star of this book. I like the way that she reconnects with family members, and we learn about the different ways that the magic can manifest and how best to use the magic and how to tap into it whenever you really need it. I like that we see Evie, defending her friends and saying, fuck you, I'm going to use this power that I have, and it was fantastic. So this one I am also giving 5 stars. I don't know if that's what I put on Goodreads. I think I gave both of these 2 a 4 actually, but I'm bumping my rating up to 5 because it's my rating and I can do what I want. So like I said, this one is going back in the deck too because it has 17 different times I can use it. I just can't use the dark type. Next, for Team Rocket, steal a book off someone else's TBR. I read Silent Night by R.L. Stine. This is a Fear Street super chiller, and I had so much fun with it. We follow 2 different stories, kind of, both centering around this family and this department store. So one vein has Reva Dalby, who's the HBIC kind of Regina George rich girl who likes to manipulate people. Her daddy owns the department store, and because of this, someone is trying to target Reva. We also have another perspective sort of plot going on in the story with her cousin, who is poor and can't get a job at the department store because Riva doesn't let her get a job, and decides that she and her friends are going to rob the department store, and there's a murder and like stolen money, and you get these two things that feel like two separate stories that tie up really nicely, but I wanted them to tie up a little bit more, or we could have just focused on one story. I don't necessarily need the second part, like with the poor family member. I would have been okay with just Riva. Not as good as I remember it being, but granted, I did read this book for the first time when I was in like the 3rd or 4th grade. Next we have I Know What You Did Last Summer. Read a book that you've had for over a year, and I read Scalped. I should not have read Scalped. So this is a bind-up of like 11 volumes of a comic about a Native American man who goes back to his reservation as an undercover FBI CIA agent situation to take down this crime boss. And I just found this book to be very filled with like uncomfortable stereotypes, very racist depictions of natives, and it was just not good. I'm not aware if either one of the two contributors have any native ancestry. I couldn't find anything about it online, but I did not like this. I was very uncomfortable reading it. It's one of my worst books of the year. 2 stars. There was nothing redeeming about it. The only thing that stopped me from giving it 1 star was that I liked the art. And finally, for Broken Promises, read a book you put on a previous TBR. I have What Big Teeth by Rose Sabo. And oh my gosh, What Big Teeth by Rose Sabo. I don't think I could ever have been as simultaneously bored and intrigued by a book as I was with this one. This was my Patreon book club pick for the month of December. I'm sorry that this was my Patreon book club pick for the month of December. I should have listened to my gut whenever it told me to DNF this thing months ago. We have in this book a girl named Eleanor who is returning to her family estate after an incident at her school. Her family is kind of like if Rob Zombie directed the Addams Family, like werewolves and fortune tellers, and there's a ghost and mysterious things are happening, and Eleanor is just trying to kind of adapt into this family. Her grandma dies, and she calls her maternal grandmother to come visit and kind of help out the family, and the maternal grandmother starts to kind of manipulate everything, and it's very much like the Joan Cusackification of the Addams Family. Grand Marie is just Debbie. I don't think that this book deserves a lot more screen time in this video because this segment's already running kind of long, but basically nothing happens for the first 70% of the book, and then all of the action is crammed into the last 30% of the book, but because of the pacing and the weak story structure, the payoff does not feel earned. It feels like the last 30% of this book is a very different story from the first 70, and not in a good way. So that's the wrap-up portion. Let's hop into the next portion, which means I have to take my little dude and put him back on start. In the description, I'm going to link the Etsy shop of the person who made this pin, because my corgi pin is very cute. So I have shuffled the cards. I did that off camera. I'm sorry. You just have to take my word for it. Where's my dice? So my little corgi pins at the start. I'm going to roll this 5 times, and I have to move around the board. If you're not familiar with the game, I am not allowed to buy a book. I am on a book buying ban until I hit the winner section, which means I got some stuff last month. Ooh, starting 22 off with a 2. Let's draw a card. Okay, we have Yellow Hearts, read a book by a favorite author. Ooh, a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, okay. Easter egg, read a book referenced in another book. Roll number 3. Oh, it almost fell off. And we have a 1. Okay, we have Dionysus, read a book with queer representation. What are you? Another 2, okay. 1, 2. So we have Saint, give an author you disliked in the past a second chance. Last one. Ooh, okay. A 3. Let's draw the last card. Please be good. Okay, extra, read a book you heard about through a blog post. So that's where our little corgi dude is gonna sit until February. We're gonna put that down. I'm gonna pick some books. Alright, hello, I'm back. It's been about 20 minutes of me digging around, but I finally found some things to fit. Okay, so first, just the first one I grabbed. For Dionysus, a book with queer representation, we have A Snake Falls to Earth by Darcy Little Badger. This is Darcy Little Badger's sophomore novel. Y'all will know that I loved Lots Away when I read it in 2020. Have been waiting to read A Snake Falls to Earth. Was gifted a copy of this for, I think, Christmas. It says, enjoy your gift. I'll enjoy your videos. I hope you like this book. I haven't read it, but it's on my list. Take care. From Kristen. So thank you so much, Kristen, for sending me a copy of this. I'm excited. Also, I want to show you the naked hardcover. It's orange. Levine Querido, the publishers, always kill it with their like under the dust jacket designs. I have 3 of their books and I love all of them. I believe this follows 2 different characters. Ollie, who is a cottonmouth kid from a world where there are animal people. Basically, animals can shift between their true forms, which is their animal forms, and their like human forms, their false forms, and they are connected to Earth through their kin. So like Ollie as a cottonmouth is connected to the cottonmouths on Earth. Ollie's friend, who is a toad, starts to die, and we learn that in Nina's world, the human world, there has been a hurricane that has caused like all the toads to die. So Ollie and his friends go to the human world in order to try and figure out how that they're gonna save their friend. And Nina is dealing with the hurricane, dealing with her grandmother's failing health, working to kind of revitalize these stories that her great-great-grandmother told her on her deathbed, and translating all of these old stories into English so that she can share them with everyone. Very excited to read this. I trust Darcy Little Badger with my life. I've loved everything that they have written. I also love that in this book there seems to be a huge focus on storytelling, and that was something that was very present in A Lot's Way in multiple ways, so I'm curious about how Darcy is going to present that in a different new way in A Snake Falls to Earth. Yellow Hearts, read a book by a favorite author. For that, I'm going with my Patreon book club pick, Sorrowland by Rivers Solomon. This is our pick for the month of January. More info on that downstairs if you're interested. And this follows a woman named Vern who flees from this compound, this kind of shelter, and into the woods. She's 7 months pregnant. She gives birth to twins. She also has to fight back against this community that was previously holding her there. She's changed a lot. It says that there's like some wild, drastic changes that have happened to her body, and from people talking to me about this on Twitter, I've heard that this book has some very nice body horror, so I'm hoping we get some of that in there. But throughout the book, we also learn alongside Vern why this compound was created and what it's hiding from in the outside world, like how the outside world has changed and why they are so dead set on keeping everyone in this complex. It says that it's genre bending, which I think Rivers Solomon does very well. It also says that here the monsters are entire nations. I'm just really excited for this one. I have not seen anyone whose taste I trust rate this below a 4. So I'm hoping that this could be like one of the Patreon book club picks that really works out, because last year I did not have that many, and I need some really, really good ones. Next, while we're on the topic of group reading, we have Saint. Give an author you've disliked in the past a second chance. This card is a reference to Dracula and one of the most iconic comebacks in reality show history. So I wanted to do a redemption thing with this card and give an author that I didn't like in the past another chance, and for that we have Sherry Priest. I don't know how familiar BookTube is with Sherry Priest, because I very rarely see her books on here, but if you remember that YA Bone Shaker book, I think it was called, like Bone Shaker something, it was like a YA steampunk that was very popular for like a minute, like 10 years ago. That's Sherry Priest, and Bone Shaker was the book that I read that I hated. That was before I didn't DNF books a lot. I DNF'd it immediately, just like put it in the back and said no. But I'm excited for Brimstone. Disclosure, I'm not totally sure what time period this book is set in, but we follow a man named Tomas who is a veteran. Basically, he killed people with a flamethrower in the war, and now he has dreams about fire. And he wakes up and things are on fire. And we also follow a woman named Alice, who it says is a talented clairvoyant living in the community of Casadega, which, if you aren't aware, I think is the largest community of like psychics and fortune tellers in North America. Like, everyone in Orlando knows about Casadega, and most of us have been to Casadega, and those of us who haven't been to Casadega are planning a Casadega trip. But basically, Alice has been having nightmares about fire, and these two people like find each other, and I'm very excited. It gives me big Evermore vibes, which is the theme for the January round of the Taylor Swift themed readathon. The Last Great American Readathon. I picked this book because it sounds a lot like Ivy, but yeah, I want to give Sherry Priest another shot because some of her newer books that have come out within the past, 5 or 6 years actually do sound kind of interesting, and I don't want one YA book that I read years ago to leave a bad taste in my mouth. I want to always be able to give authors another chance whenever they put out something that's very different from the original book I did not like. So next we have Easter Egg, read a book referenced in another book, and I actually made this card after reading Jake in the Box, The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. There's a scene in this book where Jake is reading The Great Gatsby in class. His English teacher is being very rude and saying oh, why you can't read, da-da-da. He says I can read, but why would I waste time reading shit like this whenever I could be reading Tanana Reeve Dew, Octavia Butler, or Stephen Graham Jones. This directly inspired this card, and I'm so glad that I actually have something on my TBR. I'm going to be reading The Least of My Scars by Stephen Graham Jones for this. This was the only book on my TBR that I have by any of the 3 authors. I don't even have any more Stephen Graham Jones on my TBR. This is the last one. But I do intend on reading some Tanana Reeve Dew this year because someone recommended The Good House to me on Twitter. And this book follows a man named William Colton Hughes, who is a serial killer. Who's a serial killer who has people delivered to his apartment every day for him to then kill and murder and all that good stuff. No visitors, nobody to talk to but himself. He begins to lose what little of his mind he has left. Has his benefactor, his employer, been his prison warden all along? His apartment complex a hospital? Is he going to have to go back to having dark plastic bags in dumpsters when no one's looking? Or will Dashboard Mary, a mysterious woman hell-bent on revenge, get to him first? This is William Colton Hughes, come knock on his door. I saw someone on Twitter say that this book left them disturbed and horrified, but also disgusted. And I trust Stephen Graham Jones to disgust me. He's done a pretty good job of it so far. Y'all also know he's my favorite author, so I'm excited to kick off the year reading one of his books. Let me know if you think this is a card that should go back in the deck like the Gym Leader card. We have Extra Extra. This is a reference to the fact that I used to edit my school newspaper for 2.5 years, basically completely by myself. And we're going to read about that I heard about in a blog. So for this one, I have The Blackheart Boys Choir by Curtis M. Lawson. And this one we follow a boy named Lucian Beaumont, who is a musical prodigy, whose father was a composer. Lucian finds this unfinished song that his father was putting together and learns that there may be dark magic weaved into the song. Apparently there's a unicorn that you can see on the cover. It says they have to appease the entity trapped within the music with increasingly sadistic offerings, so I'm hoping this one also gets really gory. And I will leave the blog that I read about it originally linked downstairs for you to go check out. Always support book blogger friends, because book bloggers are the backbone of this community. So these are the 5 books that I have picked for my TBR in January. Let me know your thoughts on them downstairs if you've read any of them. Which ones you think I'm going to enjoy, which ones you want to hear more detailed thoughts on as I read. I'm also doing quite a few reading challenges this year. I want to do my friend Margaret's challenge, Fablin, which I have not completed by doing these books, but we'll figure out a way to make it work. I want to do the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge this year. Read by Daylight is back in January, which is kind of why we went with the Blackheart Boys Choir. I've also got a couple more months left of The Last Great American Readathon, and my Patreon book club is still going strong, so yeah, there's a lot. I'm trying to not stress myself out too much this year, though, and I'm not holding myself to super high, super strict standards on the books that I read. I just want to have a good time. That's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving me a thumbs up and subscribing and sharing and hitting the bell and all of that good stuff, as well as answering the comment question of the day. Comment question of the day, let me know A, what book you're most excited to read in January, and B, let me know an Easter egg author for you. So an author that puts references to other books in their books. And if you don't have time, you don't have the spoons, you don't have an answer, or you don't want to answer, let me know you made it all the way until the end of the video by leaving me an emoji, preferably a yellow heart or a smiley face emoticon. All my social media links, as well as everything and everyone I mentioned today, will be downstairs, so go check all of that out. And yeah. Alright, I hope you have a wonderful whatever it is, wherever you are. Happy 2022, and I will see you next time with another video. Thank you for watching. Okay, cool. Bye! I told myself I was gonna try and do a different outro for the new year, but I love my outro too much to do that.